Welcome back to the new SEC podcast. I'm Hunter Zeisman with Randall Ledet Jr. We're talking best of the best, team of the week. Who were the dogs in the SEC this week? They get a mention from us as being the best at their position. You might have seen this before. We're on week 6 of doing this now. We look at who's the best quarterback, best running back, put together a roster of the all-stars, for lack of a better term. We had some great performances this week in a bit of a lighter slate from the SEC. We had 5 games, 9 SEC teams playing, a lot of them on bye. But we had some guys who stood out. A couple teams stood out and impressed. Alabama being one. Oklahoma, now with backup quarterback, doing their thing as well. A&M taking care of business in a night game. Florida, Texas upset. Let's talk about our team of the week, though.
Let's talk about our team of the week. And if you've been following us, we really appreciate it. And as always, if you like this type of segments, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But when we think about the team of the week, a ton of good quarterback play this week, whether it was Michael Hawkins, Ty Simpson. I even think Gunnar Stockton looked great on the ground. We ultimately picked Ty Simpson, though. Big time win at Bryant-Denny. Hunter, I'm sure you could talk a little bit more about his performance.
Yeah, I mean, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have that bad interception on the 4th down play. He took a couple bad sacks. He acknowledged that. Sometimes to maybe throw the ball away, but he did some good evading. I mean, right now, he's doing what you want as an Alabama quarterback. 9.8 average depth of target. He's throwing the ball exceptionally well. I think there's a good case to be made that he's the best quarterback in the SEC, at least playing right now. I think Mateer's the only one that you could put him up against. I think Ty Simpson right now is just playing the hottest level of football, now going to play Missouri next week that will test him.
Yeah, I think he looks really good. And you watch that game, I think the word for Ty Simpson for me is resilience. He's so good at creating time in the pocket and being willing to take that hit. Even when he's down, he makes key plays. You're down 14-7. He makes that play to Jeremy Bernard to tie it up at halftime, a 1-minute drive. I feel like he stretches the ball down the field, and that was what Alabama was missing last year with Jalen Milroe. I see more of a consistent ability to go down the field, and it could be a Ryan Grubb thing. I don't know, but less about the coaching, less about Milroe. Ty Simpson looks great. I agree with you. I think I was watching football with some friends, and I felt that Simpson should be in the Heisman discussion, solidified. He's up there with me, top quarterbacks with Trinidad Chambliss and with John Mateer, but good performance. Multiple key third down conversions.
Yeah, and great from Reed as well. He played great. Hawkins Jr. played great. Lagway, well improved. You mentioned Gunnar Stockton getting it done on the ground. Let's take a step to the A&M game. That was a huge night game. Blackout. The uniforms looked pretty sick with the silver chrome
those are
SEC logo.
Yeah.
They've got it done on the ground all season. They're getting our nod to running back of the week, and that's Ruben Owens, 143 yards. Also had a big reception as well. 2 missed tackles, 6.8 average. A&M, one of the best running teams in the SEC. They got so many weapons to do it, and he showed out in this game.
He looks really impressive, and I hope Le'Veon Moss is good from his injury. But, I mean, this running back room is so stacked. All season, Ruben Owens has had less than 5 carries a game. He had 21 carries this game. You talked about the 143 yards. 4 explosive runs over 15 yards. That was the story of the game. Whenever Mississippi State felt like they could kind of stay in it, Ruben Owens would bust open a big run. And, I mean, they being A&M, they're the real deal. And so Ruben Owens definitely deserves the player of the week for the running back spot.
Yeah, and we can move right into one of his teammates. Now we look at wide receivers. We got 3 of those. Do our pass catchers as a unit here with the tight end involved as well. But Casey Concepcion, 2 touchdowns in this game. We're going to put him on here. 7 targets, 4 receptions. His target share is high up there with Mario Craver on this team, and for good reason. Fighting for that touchdown, the first one that he had. Yep. He's a great weapon on this team. The stat line from a yardage total, not exceptional, but we know that Mississippi State's defense, the DBs, have been improving. He still played a really phenomenal game, even early on before A&M broke the thing open.
Word of the game for Casey Concepcion's playmaker. I mean, we talk about the stats in terms of yardage. He had a really big punt return that got called back, but still, it's a momentum play. 22 yards on the ground, scored the first 2 touchdowns in the game, helped them kind of bust the game open in the third quarter for that 14-3 lead. Just a momentum shifting guy. So well-deserved for Casey Concepcion.
Yeah, momentum shifting. We can talk about maybe the missing piece to this Florida team. We got Dallas Wilson at Florida, his first game of the season with them now coming back from injury. he might have been the missing piece. I mean, we could talk about it as Florida continues. The offense has been struggling, and now here they play a Texas defense. We questioned them a little bit at maybe when they play somebody. Dallas Wilson, 2 touchdowns, 7 targets, 6 catches there, 111 yards. Huge for this team now to get him and be able to add a weapon alongside Jaden Ball, alongside the rest of these receivers.
Yeah, you got Michael Sturdivant, Vernell Brown looked good. Dallas Wilson's absolutely a dog. That 55-yard touchdown where he's, stiff arming guys, fighting his way into the end zone. And he was the guy in the game. I mean, Texas didn't have an answer for him. And I think, like you said, this is what Florida's needed, another receiving weapon alongside Vernell Brown, alongside Eugene Wilson. And so, big time spark win. And the first unranked loss for Texas in 18 games.
Yeah. Huge now for them, now that they're looking down the barrel of potentially grabbing a third loss somewhere, maybe this next week against Oklahoma. Speaking on Oklahoma, last receiver here, Isaiah Satania, it was a dominant performance against Kent State, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did good in punt returning as well in this game. We'll see how he plays next week. Keontae Lewis probably going to be out in that game. Satania going to have to take a little bit more market share in that. He played a great game. And then adding Josh Cuevas to Alabama at tight end. He, no real outstanding tight end performances this week from a scoring standpoint or a yardage standpoint. Cuevas made some big plays in this game. Saw the big hurdle he had. Bigger guy.
Couple big third down conversions for him. Yeah. So definitely helps the momentum of the game.
Yeah. So these are, 2 more guys here. Anything else on these pass catchers here?
No, all great guys. I mean, MVP, I would say, is Dallas Wilson, pulled off the biggest upset. And then, Casey Concepcion's it's 1A, 1B. And Satania, hopefully he can continue to have a good season for Oklahoma, but well-deserved two big TDs in the first half. I'm excited for this next position, the offensive line unit of the week. Yeah. It goes back to Florida. And this says a lot with this Texas defense. 159 rushing yards that they contributed to. 1 touchdown on the ground, no sacks given up all day.
No, only 6 pressures allowed at all in a game where Lagway needed to get some confidence back. Florida needed to get some confidence. Whether they got a win or not, I think that Florida at least needed to keep a game close and be able to do something offensively. They said, the hell with that. Let's win the thing. O-line was huge in it. Letting Lagway get involved with his new weapon that we talked about in Dallas Wilson. They're going to be solid going forward. We've talked about Jaden Ball. We talked about the running backs getting involved here. Shout out to this Florida O-line and helping keep him clean, helping everyone, be able to make plays.
Definitely. And that O-line looked really good. And Florida, I think they'll be good. Solid. We'll see. I need to see more of a sample size, but it solidified to me there's no easy wins in the SEC across the board for most teams. So, and we're on to the defense, the mean guys, and we're going to start off on the D-line side. And so, Hunter, thoughts on the D-line players of the week?
Yeah, D-line, not one of the more glamorous positions in college football, in football in general. Still an important one at clogging up the pores there. Brian Taylor Jr. going to be the first one here we give a nod to from Florida. He had 6 pressures, 2 sacks. Big in the run stop. Texas couldn't get anything going on the ground. I think Contravion Wisner got like 1.1 yards per carry. He had 11 yards on like 10 touches or something like that. So he was a big one. Another big run-stopping guy, David Stone for Oklahoma. 2 pressures, 3 tackles. Kent State couldn't get anything going as expected. But D-line, we always talk about it, core of a defensive unit. Without them, things get out of hand very, very quickly.
Yeah, we had one of the people that watched our videos commented about how nasty this Oklahoma defensive line is, and we saw it against Kent State. I mean, David Stone played incredible. Like you said, 6 tackles, a half a sack, and 2 tackles for losses. Almost contributed to a safety in the game as well. So really impressive performance by him. And Florida played a full game. So Brian Taylor was a big part of that on the D-line and could really bottle in this run game, like you said. Going to the edge position, we had a couple good guys, a lot of good edge play. This is where the SEC shines. I think you look at the NFL draft, it's always some of the best players coming out of the SEC. And there was no shortage of that this week. Cassius Howell for Texas A&M had 3 sacks, contributed to Mississippi State going 1 for, I think, 23 on third downs in this game. Played a key role for A&M's defense in this game.
And it's a Mississippi State O-line that we've talked a lot about. I think they got our team of the week 1 week in keeping Blake Shapen clean and helping these running backs who are really good running backs get involved. Putting pressure on Blake Shapen was one of our keys that we talked about in this game. Cassius Howell, big part of that. Aside from him on the edge, another guy we talked about getting pressure on being super important was Arch Manning. Tyreek Sapp got pressure on him often. It's not necessarily when you're playing a Texas team with this quarterback about getting the sack, finishing the play. It's about applying the pressure and watching the mistakes roll in. Tyreek Sapp was a huge part of that off of the edge for Florida. Florida defense talked about it. They're solid. They're keeping their team in games. They're going to be good going forward as long as the offense can keep up with what this defense is doing. Shout out to R. Mason Taylor as well from Oklahoma.
Definitely big shout out to R. Mason Taylor as well. And this Florida defense, I don't think is getting enough credit, but Tyreek Sapp's been a huge piece forward. He had a really early tackle for loss, changed the momentum of the game. Those are the plays where it gets the crowd going, and definitely well deserved for him being the team of the week. And like you mentioned, we were debating on if it was going to be Tyreek or R. Mason Thomas. I thought Cassius deserved it 3 sacks for sure. R. Mason Thomas, he had the strip sack. So really incredible play there against Kent State. But a ton of great play at the edge position. Moving into the linebacker position, another competitive spot here in the SEC. Hunter, tell us what players we got here.
Yeah, in prepping this one, this was probably the one we went back and forth most on who deserved to be here. Was it Turin York? Looking out at A&M, Justin Jefferson
Damien.
Damien as well from A&M. There was a bunch of guys that played great out of the linebacker position. Justin Jefferson, Alabama has to be on here. 10 tackles. He did force that fumble in the red zone when the game could have been blown open a little bit for Vanderbilt. Yeah. I know I was watching the game, getting a little nervous and seeing what Vanderbilt was able to do. Stripping Pavia on that run, being able to swing it the other way, huge. I mean, Alabama getting 2 turnovers in the red zone. We'll talk about another one later. And I know you were pretty set on getting C.J. Allen in here from Georgia.
Yeah, I love the impact plays, and I love this bounce back game for Georgia. And C.J. Allen's one of their captains. 6 tackles, 1 sack, two tackles for losses, and a big time forced fumble recovery for him to really bottleneck this Kentucky defense. So he definitely played well this game, and I wanted to make sure he got his shout out here on the new SEC podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. Georgia played great in this game. Kentucky's offense, we know that they're not necessarily top class here. They made a couple things happen throughout the game, a garbage time touchdown then to make it close to where Georgia almost didn't cover the spread here. But Georgia looked great in this game defensively, offensively. I think that it was, big coming off of a loss and being able to bounce back here. They're going to be solid going forward. Another Georgia player here as we move to the DBs was DeMello Jones. 4 targets, 1 reception. I think it was for like 3 or 4 yards. Not getting anything on him. Georgia DBs have had their ups and downs, and this was a huge up for them and being able to lock down. Kentucky does have weapons, and they were able to lock them down for the most part.
Definitely have weapons, and I think the story for Georgia's defense last game, or one of them, was the defensive back play, whether it was Ellis Robinson or DeMello Jones. And so Ellis Robinson in this game, not on the team of the week, also had a big interception in the game. But DeMello Jones wanted to give you your first time being on the team of the week. I hope to see you here again. We also had Zabian Brown. I saw you had 2 pass deflections, really key plays in the red zone. One play in Vanderbilt, which is kind of the tail of the tape this game, right? Was who was able to make plays in the scoring area.
He stopped that back shoulder pass in the end zone. I mean, that was one of the best balls Pavia threw all game, and got his hand in there, broke that up. Sometimes the best thing you could do as a DB is record nothing on the stat sheet, getting, no receptions thrown your way, just being a core lockdown player for Alabama. The defense, especially in the second half, played outstanding, and he was a big part of that. Aside from him, DB knocking off the third one here, Devin Moore on Florida. He did have a sack in the game, only allowed 2 receptions on 6 targets. Got a pick off of Arch Manning of his 2 on the day. Devin Moore, again, back to what we're talking about, this Florida defense, solid DB play, really, really good, keeping their team in games. So, that's our DBs before we move on to safeties.
Yeah.
Or corners before we move on to safeties.
Yeah, corners before we move on to safeties, and it makes it easier to play DB when your D line is creating pressure. And you look at a lot of these players that we will reveal and have been revealed, they have players on the D line or the edge that made the team of the week. And so whether that's Florida or whether that's Alabama and such. So going to the safety position, we had Marcus Radcliffe from Texas A&M. He had 8 tackles, played big time in coverage. Really Blake Shapen and this team was not able to get a lot going in the air, aside for that last touchdown to Brandon Thompson kind of later in the game. Want to give him a major shout out. I think this might be a second time on the team. If not, congrats. It is the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we've had him at least as an honorable mention if he didn't make it before. He's been solid for this A&M defense. And then last guy here we have for team of the week is Keon Sabb, Alabama. red zone interception, 3 targets, no receptions when he's been involved in coverage at that position in this Vanderbilt game. Another one, a huge turnover. That was a tale of this game is points left on the board. Vanderbilt having 2 red zone trips that were spoiled. Alabama as well, not being able to capitalize on a couple of long drives, but Keon Sabb getting that pick there, like I don't want to say game sealing, but it was really a momentum changing play.
Yeah, with how hard it looked for Vanderbilt to drive the field, it was kind of a momentum sealing game sealing play, and that was the story of the game. And I'm sure it got you pretty hype, Hunter, seeing him kind of post up the offensive player and kind of get possession to get that interception and make a major play in the game. And so that kind of wraps up our team of the week. I was going to give a quick shout out to Tate Sandell for the kicker, special teams player of the week. Not a ton of amazing special teams play, but he had a 55-yard kick, went 3 for 3 for Oklahoma. But we love doing this. If there's any players you think we missed, go ahead and comment that. I know I saw someone last week talked about Aaron Carter. We've gotten some comments before about other teams. And if you like content like this, as always, like, follow, subscribe. Hunter, any last thoughts?
No, we're going to continue to do these team of the weeks, ultimate team style week over week. We're also going to have a recap here for the week, looking more in depth at the actual games themselves instead of, position by position. So be sure to catch that. And then tune in for previews as we get ready for a really good week 7 slate.
Absolutely. And so got a lot of great content coming for you. Really excited for week 7. The season's going way too fast, but we're cherishing it all. And, thank you once again for tuning in. And this is the new SEC podcast. I'm Ledet Jr. Got Hunter Zeisman. Until next time.